We got more ball and gun gamer news. More ball and gun gamer news. This content creator, Setoken133, shout out to you. He has an interesting take on ball and gun gamers. He said, I can't believe that this still has to be explained in 2026, even though he said, I can't believe that still have to explain it, which is still like this a little off bit grammar, but we'll go with it. But let's listen to his take on ball and gun gamers.
Okay, let me break this down and explain this for you. When I say that the ball and gun gamers are some of the happiest gamers, I mean in person, not online. Like people say they complain about Expedition 33 getting Game of the Year. Nah, no, they don't. The average ball and gun gamer is some fella who don't even know when the game awards are. They don't know who won. They don't care who won.
All right, let me stop him there. Let me stop him there because shout out to you, sir. But again, we have definitions for a reason. We have definitions for a reason. What this gentleman is explaining is not a ball and gun gamer because, again, just in case you need a refresher, a ball and gun gamer is a person that primarily plays ball and gun games, but the reason why they are stereotyped as a ball and gun gamer is because they are dismissive of things that they do not understand, of other genres of games that they do not understand or do not play. They think that they are trash and they are very loud and wrong about their opinions. What this guy is explaining is a typical casual gamer. And let me explain the difference. A casual gamer is someone who, again, typically plays AAA titles and they just so happen to be ball and gun games. They don't have to always be, but typically they are ball and gun games, but they don't know anything about anything else that's coming out. I would argue that my day zero friends, the majority of them, are casual gamers. They may play a couple games, but mainly they play the Call of Duties, the 2Ks. But they don't really know about anything else outside of that. And I would say it's a bit of ignorance, but again, they're comfortable in their bubble. They're gamers, but they are not hardcore gamers. These are casual gamers. Okay. These are casual gamers. If you don't know anything about the Game Awards, if you've never heard about Expedition 33 in your entire life, if you don't go out looking for those things and don't care about those things, you, my friend, are a casual gamer. I will argue that, again, ball and gun gamers, especially the ones that are loud, super loud about their opinions, they're hardcore casuals. And again, let me explain that. Well, hardcore casual is someone who plays, one or two games the entire year. They will put more than 100 hours into the games easily, and they proceed to, if there's anything that's outside of the circle that somehow gains a little bit of momentum and hype that they typically don't play or don't know anything about, then they will just trash it and say they don't like it. They'll just trash it, say it's ass, and they don't like it. Those are hardcore casuals though. But this man is playing a typical casual gamer, because I would also argue, if y'all playing 2K26 and Call of Duty like that, you playing it hardcore, you whether it's in real life or online, you are not a happy person. You ain't a happy person. I bet you have been complaining and getting upset at playing these games. I can almost guarantee it that you getting upset at playing these games. You can't tell me somebody who primarily plays 2K26, 2K games, sports game period, multiplayer games online is a happy person. If you playing it hard, nah, you ain't happy. You not walking around the street touching grass like, oh, it's a nice day outside. No, you ain't doing that, bro. You're not doing that. You're not doing. I would argue you're pretty upset. You're pretty upset. Whether you show it online is a different thing, but I think you may be a little bit upset in real life as well. So let's continue. Let's continue to hear him out though. But this guy is explaining a casual gamer. I want y'all to understand that he is explaining a casual gamer. He is not explaining the ball and gun gamer, but he's using the typical, because again he has 2K26 in the background. He's explaining it from the aspect of what he thinks the ball and gun gamer is, but he's missing the definition. That's why I said definitions are important. We have established what a ball and gun gamer is. What he's explaining is not a ball and gun gamer; it is a casual gamer.
Not reading gaming magazines. They're not going to gaming news sites. They're not going on social media posting about games. But the average
See, exactly. Average gamer, casual gamer, they're not doing any of that stuff because they don't care about it. They have their 1 to 2 games that they play, and they're fine with that. they're fine with that. They may not be as angry or as intense as other people that play a lot more games, or if you play one or two games all the time to the point where like this all that you play, but you put hundreds of hours in it. Yeah, you're not as intense as those people. But if you truly don't know anything about anything, you don't go online, you don't look up anything, you just may go to a GameStop. If you still go there, you may go to a Best Buy. You see a game, oh man, the new 2K is out, like the new Call of Duty is out. Let me cop that. Those are those type of people, just on a whim. You're just doing it on a whim. You may catch somebody by word of mouth saying, "Hey, this new game is out," and then maybe you'll try. But typically, you just stay in your lane. You just play your games casually. That's fine.
Ball and gun gamers doing is they're playing their ball and gun game and they're keeping it to themselves and they just happy. Maybe on their Facebook page they might post their my player from 2K. Maybe they might post a clip from Call of Duty, but that might be the furthest they go. You see them post something on Facebook, but the average ball and gun gamer is not on Twitter complaining about games because they don't look into it that deep. All they care is I got off of work, I want to play my ball and gun game, and those guys are happy.
Yeah, I would also argue that I would also argue the majority of those guys, they're probably upset from their job and they're trying to unwind. I would argue that a lot of those guys who typically are those casual gamers that just go and play their ball and gun game, they're probably got a job that they don't like. So they're unhappy from their job. Yeah. But as far as just, unwinding with some casual ball and gun games, all right, that's cool. Let me get a little steam on. Let me escape from reality. Let me ball out with my dogs. Let me shoot with my dogs for a little bit, and then I'm off the game. Then rinse and repeat. I gotta get back up. I gotta go to my terrible 9 to 5 job that I don't care about, and then rinse and repeat. You're doing the same cycle over and over and over. So you're probably upset and for other things in your life, but maybe just a casual gamer is okay. They're not upset at playing their games, in their small bubble. They're not upset at that. So I agree with that part. But like I said, your main argument falls off because you are trying to explain a ball and gun gamer when that's not what we're talking about. Ball and gun gamers are a totally different beast. And you are not describing them. You, my friend, are describing a casual gamer, and that is okay. But I want everyone to understand the difference. I agree with what he's saying, but he is not describing what we've been talking about over the last few months. That is for sure. He is not describing it. So imagine playing Call of Duty to I know, right? I said the same thing about 2K as well. I said the same thing about 2K to unwind playing those games, especially in 2026. Oof, like I said, that's tough. That's why I said I would argue, are they really happy? I don't know, because these are some of the most toxic games that you can play nowadays. So I don't know if they're truly happy, but I mean, it is an escape for some people. Like I said, if your regular life is going pretty crappy, and this is all you play as a casual gamer, then it is at least an escape. It is at least an escape at the end of the day. So the ball good gamers are more happy when they always complain 2K. Exactly. That's what I was saying. I was like, y'all still complain. I was like, y'all complain about these games actually more than people that play like mainly single player games. So are you really happy? No, y'all complain about 2K every single year. Y'all complain about Call of Duty every single year. As a matter of fact, you're already playing Call of Duty this year or 2025. I'm going into 2026. Y'all aren't even playing the game. Y'all don't like it. Y'all moved to Battlefield and y'all playing Arc Raiders. Y'all aren't even playing Call of Duty anymore. So like I said, it's a difference here. Like I said, I agree with you, Sakotin, but you are describing a casual gamer, and at the very least, you're describing a hardcore casual gamer. You are not describing a ball and gun gamer. So shout out to you. I agree, but we're not talking about the same thing here. All right, next bit of news. Splitgate. Y'all remember that game Splitgate? Came out the gate. It was, a pretty decent Halo meets Portal type of game. And then, years later, they came out with Splitgate 2, but they had classes. Nobody really liked it, but they also had a BR mode. That was okay, but something happened. Something happened with Splitgate. First of all, people they didn't really like number two. They didn't like Splitgate 2. They didn't really like the classes. And then, the founder came out with this, make a FPS game great again, and then said that it wasn't a political statement, but he had the hat and stuff, MAGA style. and people didn't like that. And after that, man, we seen Splitgate kind of like just hit the crapper, bro. When you seen Splitgate hit the crapper, like that was just, I understand he was trying to make a statement, but he came out there, he did that, and then tried to, damage control and say that wasn't a political statement. Well, nobody's gonna see it as not being a political statement because you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you were doing. So in any case, Splitgate 2 kind of falters off. It dies on by the wayside. And then the developers say, hey, we're gonna go back to the original. We're gonna go back to the original Splitgate. You know, I, and it just I don't know. I don't know. But after Splitgate came back, because Splitgate 2 is now rebranded as Splitgate Arena Reloaded. So just in case y'all aren't aware, Splitgate 2 is now Splitgate Arena Reloaded. What up, Mr. Flex Alive? What's good? What's good? So and they've been having a rough time. Like I said, people have not forgiven them over that manga statement. And somebody pointed out Steam numbers for Splitgate after coming back as Splitgate Arena Reloaded. So it wasn't good. It was not good. I don't know if the clip it is in here. The screenshot is in here. But let's continue to read this and then we'll get to that, man. But the Splitgate devs saw this. They saw this and then they decided to address it. Because everybody's pocket watching or Steam watching. I guess in video game terms, this is pocket watching if your game is on Steam. But everybody looks at the numbers. They're like, oh, what are those concurrent numbers? What's your all-time high? People love to dunk on games based on Steam stats because these are pretty much the only thing that we can see. We cannot see Xbox game stats. We cannot see PlayStation game stats. We cannot see Nintendo Switch game stats. The only thing that we really have to work off of is Steam and Twitch as far as determining whether the game is good or not. So people love to look up Steam charts and decide whether your game is good or whether it fell off. So people have decided after seeing this most recent screenshot that the game has fell off after coming back. So the developers are saying, as many have been, the Steam player numbers aren't indicative of the bigger picture. So they say, hey, wait a minute. This does not mean that our game is not good. I mean, which is true. Steam numbers don't decide whether a game is good or not. And like I said before, like when we had this argument about like single player games, for example, it's like, what do you expect the single player games numbers to be? At a certain point, like every game is going to have a decay, but multiplayer games are a different story. But again, after years go by, if you're able to survive that long, then you're going to see smaller numbers, especially as more games come out. But single player games should not get this same type of pocket watching to decide whether your game is good or not. So, people have been, again, using this for their false narrative, which is just disgusting, but that's neither here nor there. Multiplayer games, okay, I can sort of understand, but still, like, I agree that just because you see Steam numbers and they may not be to where you think they should be, that doesn't determine whether a game is good or not. But anyways, let's continue to go read through. So they said in social media, and I quote, said in a recent post on social media, damning discourse around Splitgate, Arena's Reloaded to inability to generate any hype. The second time around, the team said Steam charts don't measure fun. They show one number on one platform at one given moment. They don't show the full picture of what it feels like to actually play, and they definitely don't capture the community that's actively helping shape what Arena Reloaded is becoming, including upcoming content like Arena Royale. Over the past 6 months, we rebuilt Splitgate from the ground up because we believe in the game, our team, and our community. The 1047 team remains committed to delivering the best version of Splitgate possible. To our amazing community, thank you. Your feedback and passion have helped make Arena Reloaded better every day. And to everyone who hasn't played yet, Arena Reloaded is free. The gameplay is the best it's ever been, and we'd love for you to jump in and form your own opinion. A lot of passionate people worked very hard on the game. So, if you look at this screenshot, it says at the time that somebody took the screenshot, 739 players are live right now. That's a bad number. That is a bad number, not gonna lie. 952 players on the 24-hour peak, and all-time peak from 7 months ago was 25,785. So yes, if you look at these numbers, that is a massive fall off since the game has been rebranded and came back. Um, that would be like, I remember like when people looking at Titanfall 2's, Steam numbers, and I remember like when certain things were happening, then people would come back online, and then they would, get enough people to start playing games. This is it kind of on that level right now. I get it. This is not indicative of like every platform, because this game is on multiple platforms, not just on Steam, but still. The numbers are not great. The numbers are not great, especially if you're nowhere close to the 25,000 player count in their all-time peak for 7 months ago. So to continue on, said the statement comes months after Splitgate 2 sentiments plummeted around a miserable launch and marketing campaign. It fell flat in a pretty spectacular way. They were concerned about microtransactions and bold statements made by the 1047 leadership team. And on 2 occasions, layoffs were made that further damaged the company's PR image. So yeah, just a whole bunch of negative things have happened to them since launch. So really, really bad. So even the game's paid influencer campaign, I remember when I think it was Code Carnage. It was cool. No, that was Monzon. Because that happened to him. Yeah, he was like about to play, and then he got an email saying, "Hey, we're not doing this paid campaign anymore." So it was crazy. Said one analyst labeled the effort tone deaf in stressing that it alienated its core audience in pursuit of mainstream appeal. So dang, that's what people were saying during their paid campaign. Sheesh. So that's that, man. I mean we're entering RIP levels. I don't know what else the Splitgate can do at this point to bring people back, but we're going to be on RIP watch. I'm not looking forward to, like I've said it before, like regardless of what the Splitgate founders and their team said about the game and their strategies and things that they have not delivered on. I don't want any game to necessarily die unless your mind die, because I don't know what happened with that game. But yeah, we're gonna be on RP watch because this might end up suffering the same fate as some other multiplayer games from the wayside, aka like Concord. It's the main thing that people were dunking on back then. So we'll see. But those numbers are not good, and I don't know what else that they could do. X Divine is another one, but I don't know what else they can do in order to get people to play this game. I mean, hopefully they have enough people. And like I said, I don't know. I looked at some of the comments and they were like, "Oh, this game is great. I was able to get to a server pretty quickly." But I'm like, you playing with the same people? Like, I don't know. But I have no desire to play the game, especially now. I thought that the original idea of Splitgate 2 was cool with the class system, but ultimately people didn't like it. So I just don't know what they can do. I don't know what they can do at this point. I think that they have dug their hole, unfortunately. I think they dug themselves into a bigger hole. And I just don't think that even with the rebrand and y'all kind of, quote unquote, going back to the basics, I don't think that y'all be able to save it. So we shall see. But yeah, we're going to be on RP watch with Splitgate. Finally, man, again, I need to be on another timeline. I spoke about this before. but NVIDIA is going to re-release the RTX 3060, man. I'm gonna pray for all of y'all that need upgrades. Godspeed if you're trying to get you another graphics card. I mean, look at AMD. I mean, NVIDIA not the only ones out, but AMD has been pretty quiet. I don't know what they're doing on there. I've been seeing more news about NVIDIA and what they've been doing. 5080, as I said before, 5080s went on sale in some, I didn't see where it was, but it said it sold out immediately. Siggy said he saw 5070 on Walmart, I believe, and he copped that. So if y'all are in need of an upgrade, try your best to try to get something. But this is just ridiculous though, that you're not going back one generation, you're going back 2 generations. You're going back 2 generations to re-release an old card. I'm not saying not a good card, but really, a 3060? Really? Like, I have a 3090 in my NVIDIA build. And like I said, it's still kicking, but like, I don't know, man. It just seems crazy that like we're at this point where like these companies are getting desperate just simply because like the RAM and chip issues are like going to become a major issue in the upcoming months. And I don't know what's going to happen overall with like just technology period with this, with the inflation, man. So I think they're gonna come out with the Gate or 2600 plus. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But to further read this, a new claim reveals that NVIDIA plans to re-release a GeForce RTX 3060 GPU to counter the ongoing memory shortage. The GPU market has been suffering from a major memory shortage recently ever since AI blown up worldwide. It's funny because NVIDIA is one of the major players in AI. So you literally, I mean, I'm not saying you're the only one, but you have definitely contributed to this situation. And I don't know if they like realize this or care at this point, but the fact that y'all like, hey man, we gonna drop these 3060s because if we drop these new cards and they're like $5,000, then people aren't gonna buy it. It's like, but you contributed to this crap. So I hope that you're happy, Nvidia. I hope that you're happy with what you did. Because you contributed to this. Like AI, it literally screwing everybody over, man. So he said we've already heard reports of how it's going to impact Nvidia, with some claiming prices will get ridiculous this year. Now a new claim reveals that Nvidia plans to counter this issue. And to counter this issue, they said that they aren't going to re-release the 3060s. So this is a rumor still at this point, a rumor. But someone on X said that Nvidia is going to release the 3060s along with an expected release window of Q1, which will be this month going into March. However, no additional details were provided. So again, take this with a grain of salt, but it would sound like an Nvidia type of thing that they would do. It's like, hey, we gotta get something out, and people still need upgrades. So what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Said the 3060 was released in 2021. Just think about that, y'all. Like, I mean, you go a year and your GPU is already old and outdated, but this is 5 years at this point. We're 2026 was 5 years ago that this card came out. So like, this would be ridiculous. I mean, if it's true, but it would sound like something they would do 5 years ago. Like I said, I have a 3090 in there, and I got that build in 2021. As a matter of fact, that's when those came out. So it said built on Ampere architecture. The GPU was also packed with other gaming features such as ray tracing, DLSS, reflex, and much more. There were 192-bit, 12 gigabyte GPUs and 128-bit 8 gigabyte GPUs, both featuring GDDR6 memory configurations. The GPU launched at $329 for the 3060 when it dropped. $329. Y'all believe that, man? Yeah, glad you copied your 7800. Yeah, man. Like I said, go with NVIDIA. I mean, go with AMD, man. Go with AMD. Make it happen. So man, $329 when it dropped. So we'll see what their price is. Flex said they think it's gonna be $600. We shall see. So they must got a few warehouses. Yeah, I'm sure they do. Like, it reminds me of like an old like Adidas Yeezy drop or something. They just got them chilling in the warehouse, and they're like, hey, why not re-release these? That's how I see it happening. Like, hey, why not do that? So we'll see. Or with the from OP, but yeah, that too. So we'll see. We'll see if this is true. But if so, man, this is gonna be some nasty work. But hey, I mean, if you haven't upgraded, if you're still an NVIDIA person and you still have a 2 series, a 1 series, I don't know what people have in their bills nowadays. We're in 2026. So if you're that desperate and you need an upgrade, I guess this is okay. But oh, it's a struggle, man. I mean, 5 years. It's a 5-year-old card, man, with old tech. I don't know. AMD for the win. John Doe, what up? So yeah, so that's that. That is that.